Diane Gauthier, and I'll be co-presenting with Chris Posey. We work with the SCA Counselor Assistance Center. We ask if you have any questions as we progress through the presentation, please wait until the end to post them. We'll be collecting all of the questions and creating a Q&A document that will be sent to you if you provide your name, school, and email address in the notes section at the end of the webinar. By the end of this webinar, now we're ready. By the end of the webinar, we hope to accomplish those objectives on the screen. We will help identify areas with which you are familiar and those areas about which you might need more information. We have provided many screenshots of the website counselors frequently use and added that you can refer to later in the notes section. You can always contact one of the counselors at the Counselor Assistance Center by emailing sca@la.gov. You'll see this address throughout the various slides. And in the bottom right-hand corner of the question and answer pod, Diane and I have listed our email addresses. This is the LDE webpage for Supplemental Course Academy. It's underneath the courses on the home page of the LDE. All current SCA information, including the registration portal and the inquiry email address, is located here. On the left side, you can see links to other LDE programs that impact career and academic goals for students pursuing high school credit. In the middle section, there is a bulleted list of the types of course that SCA funding will target for grades 7 through 12. On the right-hand side is a listing of new and returning providers that are listed within the 2014-15 course catalog. This includes Louisiana universities and career colleges. This is your course shopping guide. Again, here's a listing of types of course that SCA funding will target. There's a broad variety of course offerings that are online, face-to-face, and hybrid. These course offerings will enable schools to provide courses to their students that are not currently available on site. Please note that occupational and speech therapy services are available as non-credit course offerings. The LDE will be working closely with districts to track the allocation expenditures. You should be in touch with your district, schools, and business office to determine which types of courses will be targeted and the expenditures of the funds allotted to your school district. Private and homeschool students should contact the course provider directly for tuition and enrollment information. I need to ask some participants to check that their phones are on mute as we're getting feedback and conversation from some of the sites. Kindly mute your phone at this time. Take a few minutes to review this timeline. The slide can be copied and kept handy throughout the school year. September 12th is the final date for registrations, and all registrations should be made through the SCA online registration system. There are dates for the full year, fall, and spring block. And if you have coursework that is associated with higher ed, universities, those course providers, they have a different calendar that aligns with their institutional guidelines. Counselor Assistance Center can provide you with any kind of contact information for those universities.
Middle school?
That's why
You are looking now at the SCA registration portal. I believe that most of our participants will be school counselors, and this is going to be very important for you.
On the team.
The registration that's made for students,
you got a $15,000 raise. So.
this page. Notice in the upper right-hand corner, you see a sign-in link and also a support link. If it's just
Yeah.
counselors would go into the fields that we're going to describe at this time. Notice that you have 3 colorful boxes there that will give you additional information about the Supplemental Course Academy. Under that, you'll see a Counselor Assistance Center number, and I will tell you that that is the toll-free number for the Department of Education. Chris and I will give you our email addresses, and when you get in touch with us, if you need our phone numbers, we'll give those to you also. We have 7 counselors on board throughout the year, and they're waiting for their contract to be approved and finalized, and they'll be talking with you and here also. Notice that on the right side, we have fields, the what, when, and where field. When you register, you would actually type something in the what field, and we're going to use Fine Art Survey as an example of a course that we'd like one of our students to register for. And in the what field, you would click there, and then when you start typing Fine Arts, you'll see that it was going to populate itself, and then you'll see a drop-down menu, all of the providers that offer Fine Art Survey. And in the when field, this is where you can choose a spring semester course or a fall semester or a full year. Notice there's a button under that says View Available Courses. You can always click that button and you'll see all of the courses that are being populated now. We do want to tell you that higher ed courses are being, we have courses being added every day on a daily basis, so I would check that pretty often. And then if you click on the blue box under that, you can get all of the course providers that's the approved providers this year. In the upper right-hand corner again, I'd like to say a little bit about the sign-in link. That is where, as school counselors, you would go to the counselor's backdoor functions. By that, we would mean places and things that we would normally expect you to do that you would want to do and not have the public view that. In other words, once the students have registered courses, you would go into the back door, and that's where you would approve them or reject them and download a spreadsheet that shows you exactly which students are approved and which ones are not. The support will always be there for you if you have a question or an issue and you need help. And we're going to show you another screen or another slide with information about that. After you have selected the course, notice that you will have logos for all of the different course providers that would be offering that course. And the examples we have are LSMSA and Accelerate. I'm sitting across from the table. But this is the second course, this is the providers available course offering slide. Going on to the next screen, after you have selected one of those, this one for instance is LSMSA, you would have a description block that tells you more about the course and more about the course provider. And under that, you also have a link on course prerequisites. Notice at the top that we have Fine Art Survey. We apologize for that screen because the 50 value and free value was last year, and that is not in effect here. Under that, you'll see a cancel button, and you'll see enroll for this course. If you look at this course preview slide, and then if you're doing it live on the screen, and you decide that this is in fact the course you want to register your student for, you would go ahead and click the enroll button, the green button. If you have this and you have changed your mind, you can always click the blue button, cancel, to cancel that at whatever you have done at this point. Going on to the next slide, this is the slide that you will be using, and it's very important slide, to create student accounts. Notice that there are two panels, one on the left that says create new account, and another on the right that says if you have an existing account, you have already filled those required fields, so the student can just log in. Let's pay attention to the left screen. Every student that will be registered for a course must have an account. And what you'd have to do here is create an account for that student. You must fill in every field. It's asking for a first name and last name. That would be the student's first name and last name. And then contact phone. If you don't know it at this time, you can actually fill in the contact phone and the email address with your information. Because once the course starts, that email address is what the student and the instructor will use to communicate about the course itself. What most counselors are doing at this point is putting in their contact phone and their email address. This, with the one with the green ellipse around it, is the primary email address. And it's important because when you've completed the creating account part, you will be getting an email message, and it will be sent to the primary email address, validating that registration. That's why we don't really suggest that you use the student's email address there, because you may not know anything about that when he does receive it. So what counselors are normally doing is putting in their email address. The alternate email address is usually for the parent. This can always be changed. The birthday, zip code, etc., all of that will be for the student. And then when you get to the bottom, there's a password field, and this would be a password for a student. We've had a lot of questions about that. The counselor normally finds a little pattern to follow and creates a password account, a password for the student, and then they ask you, of course, to put it in twice to make sure that you didn't make an error the first time around. Notice under that there is a blue help button, and also a submit button. The blue help button, you can read it when you go live into that particular website. It's really just giving you information that Chris covered a few minutes ago. It tells you that all registrations must be through the SCA registration system for public schools, special schools, and charter schools, and that homeschool students and private school students do not go through the SCA portal to register students. What they do is contact the course providers themselves and make arrangements for the registration that way. On the right side, I'd like to go back to that, because now that you've created an account for the student, it's very important that a student has a legitimate email address. I don't know if you're one of the districts or schools that normally provide email addresses for their students. If you do, then that would be great, because you are ready to go. When it's time for you to switch from your email address in the primary section to the students, it would be easy to do. Here, if your students are not given district or email accounts, on that, you have an existing account on the right side. Those are instructions for you to follow if you would like to request the DOE to issue email addresses for your students. Please note that if you know that the district will issue email addresses for the school and they haven't done it yet, then do not request one from the DOE. Just wait until your tech people do assign those email addresses to the students. Going on to the next slide. This is the screen. If you requested an email address for your students, this is the screen that you will be taken to. Notice that there are several steps here, and also the step 1, it's important to point this out to you, because you do not provide your first name, last name, or email address. Notice that there is already information in there based on the Gaggle
way the schedule is?
It says that the first name is Gaggle, etc., because that was put in because of the purpose